Hey guys, thanks for sending your questions in. I've got a little list here. I think there's 5 or 6 questions, so we'll rattle through them. First one, what has been your favourite championship win? I think ultimately you can't take away your first championship, but for me the winning a back-to-back was key. That second year winning it back-to-back, proving that the first one wasn't luck, was really good. So I'll probably go with the second one, despite you can't take away the first. Who would win a game of rock, paper, scissors between me and Mikey? Well, I play this game quite a bit with my missus. This is how we decide who's doing things in the house, believe it or not. So I'm going to say that I'm going to win that one because I've had a lot of practice. Next one, this is quite a good one actually. How did it feel to be the first person since '97 to win 4 BTC races in a row? At the time I did it, wasn't aware of the actual, that would make it all match in history ultimately, but for me it's another pencil in the book with my name next to it, and that's ultimately what I'm here to do. I want to set records and make history within the BTCC. Is this your year to be a 4-time champion? Oh, it's a brave old question to answer. Is it my year? I'd like to think so. It's the best I've ever felt in terms of coming into a week or coming into a championship, coming into each weekend. The car's in a really, really good place. I feel like I'm in a good place. So fingers crossed we're there for at least to be in the shout, but ultimately the key thing for me is going for that history books, and being a 4-time champion will match the likes of Colin. So yeah, fingers crossed. What do you prefer, front wheel drive or rear wheel drive? That's a tough one because all my championships have been in rear wheel drive cars. And it's only this year that I've really experienced what a front wheel drive car feels like when you hook it up. And I've got to say, I made a bold statement at SNET, and that statement was that from this Ford Focus front wheel drive car is the best one I've ever driven in my BTCC career. So I'm actually going to go with, I prefer a front wheel drive car, which I think will shock quite a few of you. This is a good old one. Is it true he's called Slow Bottom because of his starts? Well, if we're basing that off of Donington round 1, then we're going to go with Slow Bottom for sure. But it's tough, obviously, that transition between cars. Obviously, Dan's come from a Honda to the Focus from a different team. Procedures are completely different, so I'll give you a bit of slack. But yeah, race 1 at Donington was horrendous. Preference between 2-driver endurance return or a night race? So I'm not a massive fan of the endurance stuff. I like being all down to me when it comes to the racing, so I'm going to go with night race on that one. Thanks for sending your questions in, and hope you got the answer you wanted.
Hi guys, thanks for sending in all your questions. I'm certainly looking forward to answering some of them. Let's have a look at what we got. Right, first one. Who would win in a game of rock, paper, scissors between myself and Ash? To be honest, I think who can deny 3-time champion? I've never won a game of rock, paper, scissors in my life, so it'd have to be Ash on this occasion. Next up, what track would you like to see added to the BTCC calendar? That's a tough one. I think most of the great tracks in the UK are already on the calendar. I think it's a really great track. I wouldn't really want to change it too much, but I think if we were to head abroad maybe for a round, maybe somewhere like Zolder or Zandvoort would be a good addition. I think it would create some pretty good racing around there, good overtaking, very BTCC. So yeah, keep it nice and close to home, but I think that would be a good overseas event. Now, is BTCC better than you expected? 100%. I couldn't fault it before. I absolutely loved it as a fan. I didn't think it could be any better, but once you're involved in it, it's just on another level over anything I've ever raced before. Everyone seems pretty friendly at this stage. Obviously, I'm still a newbie, but the racing is just phenomenal. The buzz you get from being on the track in touring cars is just like no other. So yeah, answer to that. I'm loving it so far, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Can you tell us what made the decision to go from golf to racing? Well, for those of you that don't know, I was pursuing a professional golf career in my teens. I did get down to a handicap of +1, which is actually 1 below 0 for you golfers out there. I went to a golf college and won the Order of Merit in Portugal with the college. I won some county Order of Merits at Surrey level, played in some world golf ranking events. But be honest, I did karting from a very young age. It's been in our family for over 40 years. It's just in my blood, and I think I got to an age where I had to make a choice where do I really want to carry on pursuing a career in golf that may not pay off and was probably more likely to not pay off than to become profitable, or do I really want to follow my heart and do the sport I've always dreamed of doing? So yeah, in 2018 I made the decision to go back to racing and begin my car racing career. And yeah, me and my dad bought a couple of cheap race cars, relative, in the motorsport world, and started to do some club racing. So yeah, it just took off from there. What's the highlight of your racing career so far? Well, so we're 6 years now into my car racing career. So I think that joining the BTCC grid has to be pretty up there, if not the highlight. But prior to this year, I think the achievement that really put me on the spotlight for British touring cars was to win 2 championships in the same weekend last season. So for those of you that don't know, I raced in the Ginetta GT5 Challenge for a couple of seasons, but also dual campaigning alongside the BMW Compact Cup, where I started my car racing career. And I took the mad decision last year to contend for both titles. However, both championships happened to finish on the same weekend at Donington and Silverstone. So having had to complete a race at Silverstone to win my BMW championship, and I was also in contention for the Ginettas. So I did a journey and I commuted 4 times in one day from Donington to Silverstone on the back of my dad on a crazy motorbike, trying to make each session, and in the end it all paid off to win the GT5 Challenge and the BMW Compact Cup on the same weekend. Now I don't know if that's been done before, but I can't imagine it'll probably happen again, and it's definitely a weekend that I don't want to have to go through that level of stress once again, because yeah, it's really something. What is it like being a rookie on this grid? Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an experience that I'll remember for the rest of my career. It's, as you would imagine, very, very tough. The racing is at the highest level. I'd say the on-track element of it I've acclimatised to fairly quickly and well. Obviously, you know, there's obviously room for improvement in myself, but that's obviously to be expected coming into this level of racing. But the team in Castor Powermax Racing have just done, in my opinion, just a phenomenal job in welcoming me into the team and allowing me to settle in nicely. And just it's great to be around great people and knowledgeable people in the sport, and I think that's helped me massively coming into my first year. I think all of the off-track responsibilities in the touring cars is something that I still need to get my head around a little bit. You know, I've never had so much media responsibility and people coming up to get your autograph, which is pretty cool. But it's, yeah, I think acclimatising to all of the stuff around BTCC is what's going to take a little bit more time. But the on-track racing, at the end of the day, once you're involved, it is pretty normal. It is just racing, and they're just racing cars. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of working my way further up the grid, hopefully later in this year, and contend for the Jack Sears title, which is the ultimate goal. You went from grandstand to independent win on your debut. How did you do it? Well, I've always been the biggest fan for the BTCC. Like, I always joke saying that the last time a touring car race occurred that I wasn't in, I was a paying spectator in the grandstand at Brands Hatch at Paddock Bend. Like, I've always gone out of my way to go and watch the touring cars. I've always watched it on the telly. I've been a participant on pit lane walkabouts before, getting signatures. I've definitely come from the ground up. So to go from one extreme to the other to actually being involved in it, not just involved in it, but a driver where people are looking up to you and buying your merchandise and cheering you on, it's just such a special feeling. How did we do it? There's obviously a lot of factors that go into it. You know, I'm not new to racing. I like to consider myself worthy of a place on the touring car grid. You know, I think to win, like I mentioned, to win 2 championships is pretty astonishing to do in the same year. And yeah, we got the ball rolling, talking to Castor Powermax Racing pretty early, and here I am now. It feels like it's all gone very quickly, but yeah, I don't regret any of it. I just can't wait to see how we progress throughout the year. Thanks everyone for your questions, and we look forward to seeing you this weekend.